friends. Just hoping that you're going to enjoy all these different foods yourself at another time. We'll have them all here for you and let you know where we purchase things too, if you like something in particular that we have that we're sharing with you today.
Yes, and hopefully next semester we can do some in-person events, and then you can come and taste everything that we're preparing here today. And also just to introduce myself, I'm Kathy McDougall, and I'm a staff member at ARP Idaho. And so, but I also just have this love of cooking. You may have seen me do other cooking classes. And so we just wanted to share our knowledge of food with you today. So with that, we're going to show a quick PowerPoint. I'll share my screen and tell you what we're going to talk to you about today. Let's see. Just get this. So we're going to, you're going to learn today about how do you build the perfect charcuterie board and wine pairing. And as you can see from this picture, there is a lot of meat on this tray, and some herbs and some cheeses, and it's actually pretty simple. And so we're going to teach you about like the different ways that you can go about envisioning this. And so here's our agenda. I'll teach you about the origin of charcuterie, the essentials you need to build your own board, how to plan for your occasion when you're going to be entertaining with these, learning about the equipment that you need, how you do different arrangements, the benefits of doing these. Marie is going to talk about the wine pairings, and then we'll actually demonstrate it. So as you can see from this board that I have here, you can see that they have done more of the traditional charcuterie. So you've got the pâtés here, you've got some candied nuts, you have all different kinds of salami, you have some smoked duck here. You'll learn about what this is. Most of us probably have not seen this. These are the rillettes. You've got the briny pickles and olives and the salty prosciutto and the sweet fig. So, and then you've got the breads to go along with it. So that's kind of what we'll walk you through, some of the essentials of charcuterie. So what is charcuterie? So it is the origin is French, but of course, many, many cultures have adapted, making these trays, and we'll go all the way to how the Americans would approach it. But it is a French term. It is a specialty. You can, it's a branch of cooking devoted to prepared meat products. A lot of times they're pork or game meats, but they're prepared in very special ways. And so you can see pictures here of some of the traditional charcuteries. And as you can see, we probably haven't seen that very often in America, those kinds of products there. But you definitely would see that in France or Belgium. And I don't know, Marie, would you see something like that in Italy?
Not quite the same meats.
Not quite the same meats, okay. And then the one right in front with it looks like with the circle in it, that actually has a crust around it. The one in the top left corner has I think it's a cornichon, a pickle in it. So there's all different ways of preparing it, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But most of the charcuterie you'll find is either like a bacon or ham or sausage or a terrine, which we're going to talk about, a pâté or a confit or a rillette. And these are pretty difficult to find in America. So the word, it is a French word. It comes from the word char, which means flesh in French, and cuit, which means cooked. Of course, it originated by the preservation of meats. So before there was refrigeration, they had to find ways to preserve meats, and they would do it through this fermentation process and also preserving it in lots and lots of fat. And as you can see, it's made by curing, salting, drying meats. They still do it today, not necessarily because we don't have refrigeration, but because of the flavors that are formed when it is prepared. So I have spent a lot of time in France, and I've tasted a lot of these foods, and I still remember not being exposed to these growing up, and how I had to be very adventurous to taste some of this. Like when you get like this, what you see the picture, that's the rillette, just covered in grease, and it's just sitting out in hot temperatures, and then you think you're going to die by eating it, but it's absolutely delicious.
What's the rillette made of?
And I have a slide on that one. Okay. So Marie asked, what is a rillette made of? And I'll tell you what that is. So this is this is called a charcutier. which is a profession in France, and someone it's a chef who specializes in the art of preparing charcuterie. And so as you can see, this is his shop, and look at all the diversity of the meats that he can prepare. The one type of charcuterie is the pâté, which probably is the most familiar. And so a pâté can be a paste or a pie or a loaf, and it's filled with force meat. And I kept like thinking, what is force meat? And so I defined it here because it's not something that we are probably accustomed to.
You're
and
forced to be a meat.
I was thinking it's something you're forced to eat. But a pâté is made out of force meat, which is a lean meat and fat emulsion. So it's like, you know, it's really highly processed. And so they grind them, they sieve them, or they puree them. And depending on the methods or how it's intended to be used, it could have a very smooth texture, or like you saw in the other slides, it can have more of like a chunky texture with different kinds of ingredients in there. But most pâtés are very smooth and emulsified like that. So when you mold them, they can be sliced and you would serve them that way. And on the top is like as an aspic, which is like a gelatin made with like beef broth or other kinds of meat broth. So that would be what you would traditionally see how pâté would be served.
We probably have to find those in I'm guessing a butcher shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not, or in of course, a French restaurant.
Or in a French restaurant.
Or they put them together, yeah.
I would say it's in Boise, if you're in Boise, but I know we're kind of, if you're in Idaho, it isn't the easiest thing to find here. Fred Meyer, there's a company called Olympia Provisions out of Portland. They will make a decent pâté. It's hard to find it there all the time. I would say with pâtés, like it's either if you have really, really good pâté, it's one of the best things you've ever tasted. Otherwise, it can be one of the worst things I've ever tasted. And it definitely is on my list of things not to try to make at home because I've tried it and it just didn't work out.
Makes me think of liverwurst.
It's like liverwurst.
When you're a kid and they said we're serving liverwurst, not everybody was excited.
Yes, not everyone would be excited about that. So the terrines are probably even more difficult to find in Idaho, but this is like a loaf with force meat. You know, it's a uniform mixture and it's like actually molded in a terrine pan, which you would probably be able to find online. They kind of look like a very small like bread mold. It's usually something that's served cold. Oftentimes, again, it has that aspect, the gelatin suspending it sometimes, and often it's made with game meats. Again, I remember the first time I was served a slice of a terrine, which I'd never seen before. And it was challenging to eat it, but it was delicious once I got past what it looked like. Another type of charcuterie is the confit. This is absolutely one of my favorite things in the world to eat. It's something that I would order online for like Christmas time because it's just such a specialty. But this is any type of food that's cooked very, very slowly over very low temperatures for a long period of time, and it preserves the meat. And usually it's preserved in a lot of fat. And so when you get like, this is a confit de canard, when you get the duck in these like cans, like you pull it out and it's just all that grease, you save it and fry your potatoes in it and just reheat the confit, and you're gonna have one of the most delicious meals ever. So I wish you all could taste that today. This is where Marie asked, what is a rillette? This is a picture of a rillette. It's a preservation method, just like a confit. So it's cooked in all of this grease over a slow way, and then just submerged in fat, like absolutely submerged in fat. But then you would take it like a spread and just put it over some bread with some cornichons, and it's just absolutely delicious. You can find this sometimes in Fred Meyer's under that Olympia Provisions. You can find it. That's the only time I've ever found it in Idaho. But in France, you would find this at any farmer's market, any store. You would always find the rillettes. So. When
you cook or warm this up, does all that grease go away?
And so you would eat it cold. And for Americans, it's hard to get used to a big slab of grease, but that is what you do. And trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, you have to like that flavor of grease.
You would have to like it. You could scrape the grease off, or you could mix it, but no, it is not heated. The confit up here, that is heated.
Okay.
So you would not taste the grease, but you would use that to, again, like cook vegetables or potatoes or something like that. So that's kind of the origins of charcuterie and how it's made, and it really is a specialty. If you ever go to France, you really would be in for a treat to taste some of these products that you just cannot find in America, especially in like some of the farmers markets and things like that. So any questions about the charcuterie? We can just put those in chat. Okay, so now we're going to go into the essentials of making these boards. So the essentials of making a charcuterie board, and this is like getting away from the traditional French way, is you're going to need always some kinds of meats, usually sausages or bacon or something like that. You don't have to get fancy things. It could be like cold cuts that you get at the deli, anything like that. Usually the meat is usually the centerpiece of a charcuterie board, but again, you can do whatever you want and whatever you're inspired by. There's always some cheese. You always need some sort of crunch like nuts or crackers or bread. And then always something sweet, like we've got our apricots here, dried apricots or apples or jam. And then sour things, like we've got our pickles here.
We've got olives.
And we've got our olives, and we've got some garlic mustard. So those are kind of the essential elements usually that you would want on a board. So Marie, do you want to talk about like, what is your occasion when you want to?
Well, I think at one time we were all, we were told appetizers. To me, this is like one big appetizer. You could create this, or you could have people come over and they would bring some of these things with them. So I'm looking at a gathering where maybe you say, we're going to put together a charcuterie board. And so you can tell people, you bring this, and everyone can bring different things to put together. So I look at it as you do need to serve something with this. Like wine, or if you're not a wine drinker, some type of maybe spirit that's got some bubbles to it. And I think that they say here that you can allow like so many ounces per person. I don't know if that's exact, or if you have somebody, if you're making this a main meal, I think you're going to have to make a little more and have a little extra. But if it is going to be served as an appetizer, I would say that you still would have to allow, it says here, 2 ounces per person. And then you'd be having a meal of some sort afterwards. Maybe this would be like your pre-course before the meal, I would think. So I think you can do some type of theme. You might call it an Italian board, or you might call it French, or maybe you will make it themed for a particular holiday. I mean, we have May 5th coming up soon. A Cinco de Mayo. You could make this into a Cinco de Mayo board. So I would think any occasion that you feel like you want to celebrate and have a group of people over, or family, however you'd like to give everyone a chance to bring something, you can add it to your board and create your own. You don't have to stick to the exact pictures you see. And I think that one thing to remember is maybe to ask your guests what things they cannot eat. Because maybe nowadays we have people who have different allergies, and you have some people who do gluten-free. We have some vegetarians. Maybe there's certain occasions that they're observing that they, like say during Lent, maybe they don't eat certain types of meats or foods or any of those. I would always ask if they have any allergies too, so that you don't end up with a whole board that someone says, I can't eat that.
Or like for Christmas Eve, usually you eat fish and you don't really want a plate of sausage usually that evening if that's your religious belief. So yeah, so just ask. And then also I've been to a party where they had like a huge spread of charcuterie, and we just ate it, not knowing that was not the meal. And then they brought out this huge lasagna, and we're all like, we cannot eat it. So please tell your guests that this is intended for the meal or intended as an appetizer.
Right, and I think you're saying that, and I remember on a Christmas Eve,
yes,
we were at a family gathering, and it was all over the place. I mean, you went down and around and they had it on counters, and that was it. That was our meal.
That was your meal.
And there was plenty to call a meal. So it was just hilarious. So when I think about it now, it was kind of like we were just walking around the whole kitchen area, and it was all gone by the end of the night because it was one of those things you kept picking.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next slide is what's the equipment that you're going to need. You know, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. The first thing you'll need is your board. We have all kinds of different boards. If you don't have a board, they say you can put it just on a piece of parchment paper, or you can just put it right on the counter if that's another way to do it. If you want to have a huge spread, like Marie's beautiful counter here, you could literally use this as your board, and it would be easy to clean up. You also, I guess, could use a plate, but I think traditionally it's probably on a board.
Right.
You're going to need different kinds of like little like ramekins or like little bowls. So Marie has a couple of these. We have little just kind of odds and ends kinds of bowls that we think would look pretty. I even got my little Chinese like teacups that I thought might look kind of cool to put on the board. Or you really don't need any ramekins. Some people just put them in little places on the board, depending on how you want to design it. You're going to need like your little, where's your little toothpicks? Little toothpicks, you know, because it's finger food. So Marie has these cool
little toothpicks here, and you can buy those most any store.
Yep.
And they're throwaways, you know, it's just kind of like something that you can have sitting out and they can toss it.
We have all these little like spoons and knives and forks that you just would have, that sometimes you don't know what to do with these until you make a charcuterie board, then you have plenty of uses for them.
And also you can add any type of, you know, greenery. It's nice to add herbs because that really does give an accent to everything. And if you like particular herbs, you know, use those. If you're just using them for creativity, you know, maybe you can build up, I guess, a look to your board. Yes. I would say if it was in a certain theme, then you would buy certain themed herbs. I was thinking cilantro.
Oh, yeah, cilantro.
If I was going to do like, well, because I was thinking you could even do different kinds of dips of some sort,
right,
and make that into a charcuterie. It does not all have to be specifically vegetables and meats and stuff, but maybe you would just do dips and have one for that.
Yeah, or if it's like Easter, you could do like tulips, or, you know, put flowers on the board, or you know, just be creative, or holly branches for Christmas or things like that. So,
and we also have some things that we're going to put together that we're going to call it a dessert board.
Yes.
So you can have one that maybe just has sweets on it, of whatever sweets that you feel people would enjoy. Just little bits. Yes. You know, I don't think you need to make big pieces of cake or anything.
Right.
Even if you have cookies, maybe smaller cookies.
Yeah, and it's just a creative way to display food and make it fun for guests, and just, you know, open it up for people to serve themselves. So those are the essentials for the equipment. I'm going to show you really fast just some examples of ways people do it. This one's, I think, really a full one, but they kind of interdisperse mustards with, you know, that they think would go with the sausages that they have, and like, you know, savory crackers with like blue cheese, with probably like a sweeter brie. It looks like they put some pepperoni there, some nuts. You've got your briny olives, the crunch, you know, more crunch, the sweet jams. They've got the spreaders here, and the little forks, and the apricots. So this is just, I think, a beautiful tray put together, and Marie's going to replicate something like this for us.
We're going to replicate this together and combine a lot of that we have here.
I keep saying Marie is a creative one. So this is a more, like you might see like in Europe, more just traditional, like just basic, different kinds of salamis, the prosciutto, mustard, olives, some cocktail onions, just simple, not.
This would totally be something that I have seen several times, that they don't get fancy.
They don't get fancy.
And they might even bring just, not even crackers, they might just bring bread.
They might just bring bread.
Yeah, right. They might just cut up some bread, and you get the bread along this side of it.
And Marie, who's you know, very familiar with the Italian culture, is Italian, and I've had a lot of time in France, like, this really is something that is part of the daily life. If they come over, it's wine and a board of some sort of charcuterie. I would say.
Or if you go to these little small cafes, it's always on the menu to get something like this brought to you. And sometimes it's even brought to you if you order wine, they just automatically bring you some little type of board like this with the differences.
And what a treat it is.
And it's just enough, because if you're going to drink some wine, you do need to have a little food, right?
You do need, and they know it well.
Right.
Here's another just simple board where they put a lot of more fruits on it and like just really popped with the color. And so again, like it's that balance of like salty, sweet, crunchy, and like some sort of bread, sausage, and cheese. I think it's the right thing. Here's the more of the Italian themed one, if you want to have a theme of like more of the Italian, like the mushrooms and the, what are these, the beans?
It looks like this cannelli beans to me,
and the mozzarella and the roasted peppers and sausage, so, and the Italian cheeses, so, and the pepperoncino, so just more of an Italian theme with, as Marie was talking about, you have the parsley as the herb to give it the color, make it look really pretty.
Right.
But then leave it to the Americans. So we have made the dessert charcuterie boards. And it's funny saying it now that you all know what charcuterie is, but here is a dessert charcuterie board, which I think was really pretty. I love how they put like, it looks like a Nutella with some mint leaves. They did the crunchy with like, you know, the fruit and just the different colors and textures. And I think that's a really easy dessert option for if you're entertaining. I just love this idea.
Looks like a party.
Looks like a party. Here is the Valentine's Day theme for charcuterie, which I think also looks really pretty. I love how they did the little macaroons like in the row, just dividing everything up. And then the Easter one. And as knowing some French people, I think they would just die if they saw that this is where charcuterie is going with the peeps on it. But still, I think it's just clever.
Americans put that together with the peeps.
With the peeps. But look how beautiful I think it is. And they did the nest with like, I don't know, was that like bubble gum or something? So just a creative way of doing things. Here's one with fish. So if you are like, you know, having a fish evening, you can do it with the chives and the pickles and
that's a great idea.
Yeah, the oysters.
They kept the sardines in the can.
Yes,
which is cool.
Which is such a great idea, and they've got the limes to go with it. So just something simple. This one I thought was really cool. The breakfast one. So if you're having a brunch, you can do charcuterie breakfast boards with like your pancakes with all the toppings and the waffles, and then here was your like eggs and I think that's like French toast with the avocados and stuff like that. So just lots of different ideas. Here's like a Christmas theme board. So you can get creative, make it look like a Christmas tree. And then here's just, I think what we would see more in Europe is just something very simple. Just a couple of little tastes with things. And then here's the wine that pairs with it, which Marie's about to speak to you about. A quick benefits of why we think charcuterie boards are wonderful. They're so fun for entertaining. You don't forget like how much fun it is to see all the little different things. It's super easy to clean up because besides like some chopping some things, you really don't have a lot of cooking. There's usually lots of leftovers. And then I had to throw this in here is because I had this guy over that like won some national cheese award for like his cheese knowledge. And so I like ordered online all this beautiful charcuterie from France, and I left it on the table, and my dog, who never ever eats anything, I came back and it was all gone. He ate all of it.
No.
Like ate the whole tray of the meats. So dogs love it. So please be careful with that, because it is very tempting, especially if you get good stuff. So with that, that's the end of our presentation. Marie's going to talk about the wine.
I got to thinking about, you're just saying that there's no cooking, and that really sometimes is a big reason why if you're planning to have a meal, you have to plan this time to cook for everything.
Right.
In this case, you really wouldn't have to make that much plan to cook. You just have to make sure you have all the items.
Yes.
I would say too that you maybe would just have people come over and they help you put it together, right?
Yes.
And then it's not really where it's like a lot of work to have somebody over for dinner or someone over, because they're helping you put it together, and it doesn't take you, everybody's busy nowadays. And as limited to time, I think this is something that does give you more time to visit with your guests. Just even while you're all putting it together, you're starting your visit.
Yes. Too. And when people are like, oh, bring a side, and everyone's like, why don't, like, your mind goes completely blank of what's a side that I can bring. I think this is a really good idea for when you want to have little get-togethers, because it is fun. Like Marie and I spent the first hour just raiding a refrigerator and seeing what I brought and putting together things, and it just came together quickly, and we have a huge meal ready for everybody. Right. So
right, and you know, when it comes to the wine, because I think I'm just leading into the wine right now, yes. I have made some purchases. I think if you're not sure, you could go online, and that's exactly what I did, is I just said wines that go with charcuterie boards. And then it kind of broke it down of what's going to be on your boards. Most of the time, the wines that you choose, we're going to turn a little bit different. Over here where the wines are. We've got a lot of different things sitting here. So I'm going to just show you that I purchased 4 different wines to share with you. Hopefully you're able to see me over here with my wine bottles. If you have these little wine buckets, that's fun to have out too. So I have a couple of wine buckets out, and I put some ice into them to keep your wine going. Cool. If it's cold. And I purchased a rosé, which it happens to be an Italian rosé. And I've also purchased a Pinot Grigio. So we've got our white wine here. And also a Fumé, which is a French wine. And you can go with any theme you want, and you can go with any wines you want. But they do recommend that you use maybe lighter wines with certain foods. That does not mean that you can't bring in heavy wines, because I was reading through a couple of different explanations. It was asking questions of, can I serve a red wine? Well, of course you can. Who doesn't like red wine? I do. I'm sorry. So I was saying, of course you can. But I went with a Pinot.
Oh, they're saying they cannot hear you. So I need to mute me and then unmute you. We're going to figure this out, folks. We'll be right there. Sorry about that. Okay, let's try. Am I back? Am I spotlighted? Okay. There we go. Marie.
Okay. I'm back.
We hope
hopefully you can hear me now.
You'll need to start.
Okay, so what I was suggesting is that if you want to go online, you can do that and ask about what wines to use with the charcuterie board. And a lot of times they suggest the lighter wines. So I had a few wines that I purchased today, which is a Pinot Grigio, happens to be a lighter white. I have what's called a Poulet Fumé, which is a French wine. These are all wonderful wines here. That's really not expensive. You know, I mean, you can purchase these wines anywhere from $7 to $15, just depends upon, you know, where you purchase it and what brands you're purchasing. This is a rosé, pretty wine, pretty color, and has a nice flavor. I'm sure it has a nice flavor to it. And I was saying that a lot of times people think that red wines have to go with heavier foods, but not really. As I looked it up and was reading up, you can get, this happens to be a Pinot Noir, which is a lighter, less, I would say medium bodied wine. But in reading up on the differences in the wines, you also could use some of the heavier wines. You know, you could get a Merlot, or you could get even a Cab. If you were having heavy meats on your board, it would pair up just fine with those two. So don't be completely one wine, because everyone's taste buds are so different too when they're eating foods. And if you do a dessert, you might want to even get a dessert wine. So that fits too. The wines, I would say that we're going to open them and we're going to taste them along the way here, is we'll use different wines. We're going to taste things with some different wines. And that might be a fun thing for you to do too when you have people over, to just use that as kind of a segue. You start tasting wine, and then you can have some different boards, and they can start seeing what goes with their taste buds. We all know everyone has different taste buds and tastes things differently. So I'll have you open these wines for me, since you are sitting right here. And then we're gonna open the wines and have them available to us, and they may, you know, we'll taste them with the different things that we're gonna put together. So I'm not sure if you wanted to start with cutting some of the different items. And then you'll start doing and we'll start. Do you want to build it? I think we can try to build two different boards, since we have quite a bit. Yes, so we're going to start kind of preparing some of the foods and then building it and decorating around. You want it to parchment paper? Yeah. Okay. So parchment paper is one of the things that we've been just putting on the board, but that's totally up to you if you want to use it or not. You might like it just sitting right on your board. And as long as your area's been cleaned, we're hoping everybody's, no one will have any problems with that. Yeah. So I have some meats here that I'm going to put on this first board. I have some salami, and I have some prosciutto. I have what's called capicola, which they all have a little bit of fat in them. Just to let you know, if you're sensitive to salt, most of these things are higher in salt content. So, you know, you might have to just power on through if you want to have it and taste some of these, and maybe just don't eat a lot of all the salt. So what I'm going to do is just take out these meats and kind of roll them up. You can just lay them on top of each other. Start creating yourself a little, I guess, design. Yep. And the same with, Kathy's going to start on her board over here. Should I try to make a rose? I think you should. Okay, tell them a little bit about it. So if you look online and you want to learn how to make garnishes, there's a lot of ideas out there. And one that that's very common is called a salami rose. And if you just give me some of this, I will demonstrate how to make one. So you take a glass that has a very narrow lip, and then you just you put the salami around the lip like this. I'll make a very basic one. So you just keep putting it in like this to make the petals.
And let's napkin here. There's lots of grease in our meats here. And then after you've done that, you can see the petals and you just flip it over and kind of like push it in and you'll have a beautiful salami rose. And that's so simple to make. And so you can kind of put those around. Those would be harder for people to serve themselves, but that's, it just is a nice decoration.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, we'll just kind of go to town, Marie, and start.
Well, and those cheeses,
yes,
you can start cutting up some of those cheeses. And then we have a couple of different things that I put a few little things together here. So we have what's a cantaloupe or a honeydew melon, and we have some prosciutto wrapped around this. And then I took a cherry. These are the Italian cherries that I have in this jar. So they're a little sweeter. And I put the fork through it. And so I have this sitting here with, as a part of the, I guess you want to say part of the board. Mm-hmm. It also has meat around it. So now you got more meat, a little more meat. We have olives that we'll get out here and add some olives to a couple of different, like I said, you need a few of these little containers. Maybe get yourself different sizes because mm-hmm. some things you don't need as much of, some things you need a little more of. Keeping all this in mind, you know, might have to keep refilling it. People like certain things more than others. So I think we can put some cheeses, whatever you decide to cut, well, whichever ones. You want to tell them which cheeses you have there?
Yeah, so let me let this person in. Hold on. Let's see.
I didn't know. Is there anything in the chat that
anybody has? Just about the
can't hear. Okay. So here we're going to use, this is the goat cheese, the chèvre, which is a French kind of creamy cheese. You can get these in different levels of ripeness. So you can get fresh, which is absolutely delicious, or you can get it that's quite fermented and also has a very unique flavor. So this is more of the fresh goat cheese. Here we have the brie that you can put it in chunks or you can put it in little slices, but I think brie is always a welcome addition to charcuterie. And we've got these little, these are like little fig crackers that are kind of sweet. So that will pair well with the brie, the creaminess. And so when you're building it, like, you know, again, think design, but also think like, well, what do I need to serve the brie? So that's where you need like your little spreaders to cut the pieces. And then here we have the melon. So we would need little picks in the melon to serve that, or, you know, or toothpicks, like the finger food. Let's see. And then here we have, let's see. We have Toscano cheese soaked in Syrah, which I thought would be, and so this is, you know, the blend of, I didn't do any like blue cheeses or anything like that, but this is more of the harder cheese. We'll cut that up.
And I think you can have a variety of cheeses together.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to stick with one or the other with certain meats because everyone, again, has different taste buds. And also, if you want to buy the salami that's not cut up, you can buy the loaf like this and put it on here with a knife and start cutting it yourself. And then leave the knife there so people could maybe cut their own. We also have some grapes. So grapes is a nice accent onto the board itself. And I've just put all the crackers on this one particular board because not knowing what everybody's tastes are like, I've just done a variety of crackers here. And I'm going to continue adding things to the board.
Marie has a beautiful board.
Not sure if it's going to get too crowded here, but we'll try. See how much we can get on it. And also there are things like these jellies that you can buy that complement different things. I have a sour cherry spread. I have the fig orange jelly here. what you can add. I happen to have a mint jelly, you know, that kind of goes with pork or lamb. You know, maybe you would build something that maybe you have those kinds of meats, and this complements those meats. And then you're going to need your little spreaders, and however you decide to serve this, you know, give everybody their little small plates. Yes. I happen to have small plates here, and give them either the types of forks that, you know, you can throw away, or you can just make sure that you give them the ones that, spoons or forks, whatever it is that you've got on your plate that they're going to need to pick up, and that everybody gets their own. They don't put them back in.
Absolutely.
Especially since we've gotten more conscientious now.
Yes.
Everybody's touching everything. So that's what I would make sure you have plenty of those little. I happened to see some the other day. If you're saying where would I purchase these, you know, this happens to be so popular right now, these charcuterie, but I did see them at Tuesday morning the other day. I saw a grouping of forks, spoons, knives at a really inexpensive price, and you can get several of them and have them for other occasions too. Let's see, what else do we have? And I'm thinking I haven't put it quite out on the board yet. And the dried fruit's a good item to buy. I mean, you can buy, these are apricots, but there's usually, you know, plums or cherries, dates or figs, any of those things that have a little bit of, you know, sometimes it's all about the consistency of the way things taste and the texture. And a lot of people are texture people, you know, that they have different textures going on in their mouth when they're eating. So they'd probably like that too. And I think we can add a little rosemary or a little green. And if you had any, you know, if you're a person who has, you know, we had a pesto class last week, and some people grow lots of basil. Basil's a real good item that I think you can add to another board. So
I guess we can show them.
Show them the board.
I'm going to look, yeah, just take my,
yeah.
We have some different almonds here. There's so many almonds now. They're not just the traditional.
But look what we were able just to put together quickly. Look at all the color Marie has on hers, which I love, and the variety, and how she rolled the salamis. I probably need a lot more meat on mine.
Might need a little more meat. And you know, and if you're a person who doesn't eat these types of meats, you could always use turkey.
Yes.
You know, I'm thinking there's a lot of other cold cuts that can be used on these boards. Doesn't have to be just the porks.
Right. It can be cheddar cheese and Triscuits arranged beautifully.
You know, and then there's always some kinds of beefs.
Yes.
There's other types, you know, if you're really a meat eater and you would prefer to have the beefs, you could do the beef too. So we're going to take a glass and I think you should use these type of glasses to serve, but that's up to you. And I actually have these in plastic too.
Oh, you do.
That are really, in fact, they're up, you can get them, I think they're up there. And so if you did this and you didn't want to worry about anybody possibly breaking, these are the plastic ones too. So they don't have to use the glass. It can be either or. And this type of a glass is a nice wine glass too, that's just for white wines. And red wines, people like to use the great big glasses. I definitely wouldn't be filling this up to the brim by any means, but you could fill it halfway. So these are just some different glasses that can be used. And if you're a person who doesn't want to use a stemmed glass, you know, there's always these shorties with no stem, and they're easy to hold on to, and possibly somebody won't be dropping this one or knocking it over. And you end up with wine in all of your, so which wine would you like to try first?
Oh my goodness.
With your dish there. I think I'll let you try this one. Here's your.
Do you want me to do plastic or?
Either. You do what you want. I just wanted to make sure, because some people get afraid of these for fear of dropping or breaking. So I wanted to say you can surely use that little bit there. That's good.
That's good. Let me make the dessert one, Marie.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to taste the wines with our charcuterie. And Gus, do you want a glass?
Sure.
Here we go. Here, we'll pour our photographer a glass. And a toast to spring and to good health. A votre santé.
Yes.
Salute.
Salute. So whichever you'd like to try with the wine to see how it complements it, I feel like you can take whatever. I think we'll need a knife with that.
And it's interesting when you do this, I'm like, okay, I don't have any crackers and I have almost no salami. So it's, you've got to kind of, think it through, but you need a knife for that one. There you go. And then I need some crackers. Thank you for that.
Okay, we'll definitely have plenty here.
And then you have to keep watching it as you're entertaining to, because like a lot of times you don't have a ton of everything. So you kind of have to keep adding to it, as it gets depleted, unless you use multiple boards. So like we did.
I would say just judging on how many people you have, and probably your audience, and meaning that, are they eaters or are they pickers? I mean, some people just are going to eat, and so they're going to make this a meal. You're going to have to keep filling up.
Yes.
And that you also have to think about the cost involved. That's why I'm saying maybe you do this as what people used to call years ago kind of a potluck, but it's not really a potluck. But the idea is when people say, well, what can I bring? Well, I'm going to make a charcuterie board. Let me tell you some things that I'd like to add to it. How about you bring that? That helps. I mean, somebody bringing a $10 worth of, these items here is a big help for you, so that it doesn't become a very expensive night for you.
Right.
So I'm going to grab our other board here.
Marie's going to now show you a dessert board. We're running out of counter space.
But we're coming over here. And I think I'm going to probably with it have a little bit of the Pinot when we come to this. So we've got apples.
Absolutely delicious what we're tasting here. So
and you cut this however you'd like. I would say cut them, thin. Why don't you, let's see, we've got the kiwi, we've got some cookies. We've got some little biscotti cookies. Yeah.
I'll continue eating over here if it's okay.
Our charcuterie board is getting low because Gus is enjoying it.
Keep adding.
So we put these for color, like these little covered the almonds. Oh, that's maybe too big. Go to a smaller one for that one. Well, we run out a little.
They're like peanuts.
Peanuts.
Are they peanuts? Okay.
So make sure
that's probably too big.
How about the red one?
Okay. So we're just playing around. That was good. Yeah, I didn't want the centerpiece to be just these candies, so I make that smaller.
And really, whatever you want to add. I have some caramels. I'm going to put a few caramels on it. Like I said, it's not rocket science, that's for sure. It's whatever you feel like you want to add. So add a few of these little biscotti cookies. We did buy quite a bit of this at Trader Joe's, just so if you're curious to know where we got most of this. I think we can kind of share that with you. Yeah. And anything for color and maybe just differences in the look. So I have some, Linder chocolates, and just to put them maybe in positions here to kind of put a different look.
While you're finishing that up, there's a comment, Gypsy Jelly. Yeah, she said, I love the salami roast. Someone who is extra hungry might eat the whole thing.
Exactly. Better have some of those on hand.
Where did you purchase them?
Trader Joe's.
Yeah, and that's we'll show you the box.
Yes.
In case you're interested. They're big and olive.
Yeah. And the brie goes really, really well with those.
It's a purple box, and it says big and olive crisp. So those are really tasty, easy to eat. I think they're good with like a cheese that spreads real well on them.
Well, speaking of cheeses, Gypsy can put in some of those mini Bella cheeses, and the red might be fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Gypsy, that's a great idea. I've seen that, and some people will take a little paring knife and cut a heart out of the wax, and then you have the red cheese with the little heart cut out of it, so it looks like a white heart. It's really pretty.
Well, you can also see creating one of the back items like olive bars, cheese sticks, and baby carrots. Mini pretzels, goldfish crackers, peanut butter sticks for healthy foods like a kid party.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Yeah.
And I happen to have these in the refrigerator, but I was thinking if you didn't want to go and buy a big, let's say log of cheese, the Laughing Cow has these little square ones, they're wrapped up in little silver. You could put those out too. And then that way, if, when they get used up, you have this. And you don't have to actually cut up all your cheese, because maybe you can buy some that are pre-wrapped. That's one thing I also was going to suggest. All right, and I would say anything with bubbles is a good idea. So
yeah,
we've got we've got rosé, and I think rosé is a nice touch too, because then you add a little pink.
Yeah.
Color to everything that's going on here. So let's see, is there anything else we've forgotten to put on our board?
And any other questions or comments about what we did? And I really appreciate you sharing. Délicieux, merci beaucoup et bon appétit. We got some French comments. Thank you.
Someone is giving us our little feedback in French, and then a little bit of in Italian too.
Yeah.
And it's time, time for you to maybe bring out some of your little bowls. And you could keep, like I was thinking, all your extras could actually even sit out too. I mean, I've got extra grapes here. You could put the crackers in an extra container so that you're not running back and forth all the time. Maybe keep all of that out so that you can visit with your guests and they can, it's easy to just refill everything. I'm feeling like I forgot something else here that I was going to put on.
Well, does everyone see our dessert? Did we get a close up of?
We got our little dessert going on here.
But Marie has a good point, is like, you will be restocking these throughout your party. Like, we have kind of everything scattered everywhere, but like, to organize it. Like, here's my sausage station, here's my cheese, here's my crackers. So it's just a lot easier to refill things as you go through the evening.
Well, and I think that kind of feeling is that somebody is just going to keep walking around.
Yes.
I have a sister-in-law who does a open house, a holiday open house, and she has stations for everything, and then she has kind of all those items that go at one station sit in one area. So it's so easy. She always has someone helping her, and she says, "Go get for this station, go get the stuff for this," and then it's all in one place. And you're not running around and in and out of your refrigerator continually. course, she keeps a lot of things in ice chests.
Oh yeah.
That's another way to maybe do it.
That's smart.
Yeah, and then you can get to your ice chest really easily.
Yeah. And now Marie and I do not have to clean up and wash pots and pans and trays and tons of plates. So this is also another real benefit of what we did today. And thanks for the comment about what a great way to entertain. We hope you all enjoyed some entertainment today. We know we had fun. Believe me, the fun is just about to begin in the Bonamino family household. So
yeah, we have quite a bit right here that we're going to try to eat a little bit of, and then put some of this all away too. That's another thing is, you know, it's easier to put these types of things away than if you just had a great big meal and there's platefuls of food sitting here, and now you got to package that up.
Yeah.
With this, at least maybe you ask people if they want to take some things home, have those little baggies sitting there so they can a treat to go home with.
Great. And we got one comment, just thank you. I'm going to try this based on your display. You should be able to do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyone can do this, believe me.
Pretty easy.
And like you said, like you just can keep playing with it till you get it the way you want it. So have fun.
Yeah. And try as the summer comes, another thing I was thinking is strawberries. Because there you go, and maybe some blueberries, so for color. So strawberries, blueberries, all the berries that start coming out that are fresh, they could add to your display too. Something else I saw on one the other day that I think I pulled up that was kind of unique was they had a vegetable one, strictly all vegetables. And that was pretty nice because you do get those people who come over and they're vegetarians, and that's their preference. And it looked really pretty because so many vegetables with all the colors. So another way to make another tray. Okay, well then we are done with our class. So thank you all. Here's one that said done on an Idaho shaped board. That was really nice. That's a great idea. You can also do an Idaho theme with Idaho products if you did that one as well. So that's a great idea. Thank you. All right, well, we're gonna end. It's 2 o'clock, so thank you everybody, and I hope you all will go home and have your lunch and do some entertaining. And remember, there's other classes still coming up this week. Someone knows who they are. Right now, I'm drawing a blank. Carol, if you're on this call, you always know what the classes are that are coming up. But we have a couple more weeks. All the way actually into May. We have more classes, so please show up, participate. We'll be doing classes again next fall. We're right now building our classes for next fall. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, we're always open to listening. If you have some ideas and you'd like to present or know someone who can present, please send that to Kathy and we'll all take a look at them. Great, so appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. Okay, thank you so much. Salute. Bye-bye.